everyone, to FTSR's Daytona 250 at the Simulated Center World of Racing at Daytona International Speedway. Looking to start off the 2023 Season A fresh here with a bunch of new faces once again for this inaugural 2023 season and the next-gen Cup cars. Weather on the track right now, looking pretty hot comparison to yesterday. 78 in the skies, 108 on the track surface. Got about over 30 drivers currently practicing, taking their last minutes on the track before they head off straight to race, because they just had the duels last weekend where we saw I think Stephen Lou Allen and Nicholas Moreau take 1 and 2. Everybody else will be followed up right behind them. My name tonight, Jeremy Stanley, and to my right-hand side this time tonight is going to be my producer, Mr. Dustin Logston. Thank you for doing the double duty, man, and welcome aboard for the first race. Two minutes left in this practice session. They go straight to race. A couple notations for you guys out there. Stage racing at FTSR is now a thing. We're going to be going on caution lap after everyone completes lap 35. These guys will go to caution flag and just run it out from there on out. One stage break per race. Roughly about 35% into the race, they will throw that yellow flag each and every week, and then they'll run it out from there. Kind of a cool change up, Dustin. That was my main note when I saw that. That's the first thing I thought is, man, those long green flag runs. You got to still work on the back half because you got a longer second half of the race, but at least allows almost midway point to get, hey guys, let's group this thing up. We'll bunch everybody up, and then we'll go at it from there on out. So
I gotta inject too, Jeremy, because you could definitely tell that I have not been in the booth in a while. Because thank you to Colby, to Stig, and everybody else. They could not hear my mic that whole time. I actually had my live feed turned off. They could hear you all day long. They couldn't hear me, though. So, yes, again, welcome back to the broadcast booth. My apologies. Thank you guys for looking out for us back there. That's usually why I stay back out of the camera and not in the booth.
Well, what he was saying is the FTSR has these long green flag runs, and so this stage break is going to allow everyone to group up just a little closer. So it should, in return for you guys, have a much better product out there watching each and every week at FTSR through Nerd TV. And qualifying, or practice rather, is over. There's no qualifying like I mentioned earlier. So everyone's already pre-gridded per the admins. They got them all grouped up based off their Duel 1 and Duel 2 races. They're going straight to the grid. So Dustin, if you want to pull up that grid there and get our mugs off the screen, we'll go ahead and start running down this long field here to start off the 2023 A season. He waves you goodbye there. Nicholas Moreau is going to be P1. P2, or, Sherwood Williford, I'm sorry. Sherwood Williford going to be P1. Steve Loomis looks like he's P2. Stephen Lou Allen is going to start in 3rd. Nicholas Moreau is going to start in 4th on the outside row, number 2. Wayne Grossi is going to start 5th. To his outside in 6th place, Ryan Chapman. 7th place, Brandon Elder. 8th place, Richie Coy. 9th place, James Wallace. Round out top 10, Chris Curtis. 11th, Joshua Johnson. 12th place, you'll find newcomer Matt Knight. 13th, Brian Dublé. 14th, Brian Blitz. 15th, you'll find the 41 of Alan Crowell. Starting in 16th, Matthew Fashan. 17th place, Brian Hoskins. 18th place, also newcomer Robert Anderson. 19th place, Brody Hanna, and tonight's 20th place driver, James Torrey. 21st, Josh Mayu in the 02. 22nd, Ryan Hedrick in the 47. 23rd, the 39 of Troy Torgerson. 24th, Chad Lang. 25th, Tony Solari. 26th, also newcomer Ryan Hoover. 27th, Timothy Stubblefield. 28th, Chris Beck. 29th, Jonathan Vachon. 30th place, Casey McMullen. 31st, Cody Mice. 32nd, Fred Moreau. And to round out tonight's 33 car lineup here to open up Daytona, Mr. Lane Allen. The Dustin, he got a half a lap around this track left before these guys are let loose for 100 laps. What are we going to expect in these first 35?
First 35, I think you're going to see a lot of give and take. I really do. There's a lot of laps, 100 laps here. They know that stage break is coming. I think they're just going to kind of feel it out, kind of feel these cars out, kind of feel out their draft partners, make some connections, make some team. And just like I said, ride it out. I don't think you're going to see these guys get real racy until we hit about halfway on. That's when you're going to kind of see things get real dicey and real wild.
If it's any story of what we saw yesterday there in the Daytona 500, and I've watched and listened to the Denny Hamlin podcast, he said there is no 3 wide in these cars. It's just not a thing with the next gen. Will we see that tonight? We're going to see a lot of 2 wide, or we're going to see maybe a little bit of a change up and see some 3 wide action. FTSR, you might see that late in the run. Early, you don't know, but green flag is out. Mr. Williford in a 33 is going to take a great start there with a 24 of Stephen Lew Allen right behind him, and it looks like going to be single file for the first 4 cars on the bottom as they head up.
Yeah, off into turn number 2, just as you know, I was talking about, you see them get lined up pretty quick, pretty fast on there. That high line already trying to start getting something going, Jeremy, which that's going to be a troublesome one. The more that they start going up and down, you're going to see drivers jump from the high line to the low line, back to the high line. They're feeling everything out, seeing what is going to work right now. But you are going to see this side-by-side tandem going on, and it's going to be a battle of the
first 4 cars are single file. Now, I do notice that top lane's getting a little closer to each other's bumpers, which in return is going to be a little bit of better draft product. So let's see if that 17 there of Stephen Loomis can get something going on the top. But right now, still not happening, as the 27 there of Matthew Chapman is going to be the 5th car on the bottom. All single file still fires ahead off into 3.
Yeah, a lot of, like I said, a lot of familiar names here, a lot of different paint schemes. I've seen some team movement around in off season, but I love it. I love to see this is going on. You know, some of these drivers we know they know how to get around here. It's going to be a good one right now. I mean, you can see these cars are actually holding a pretty decent line all the way around, Jeremy. Not a whole lot of jostling, no more than what you would expect at Daytona or even a Talladega. But these drivers are definitely doing exactly what they need to do right now.
Yeah, keeping a lot of space between each other, just kind of make sure this race happens clean. They know they got a caution break now, being with the stage about, a third of the way through the event. So why try to dice it up and, wreck your car out early when you know you got a caution coming up? Quick mention here, the 33, Sherwood Williford. He's a lone driver. He's got Patriot Racing just for him only. So he's basically the Ricky House of the field here, Ricky Stenhouse. So do you think maybe we'll see another single car owner take this checker flag home tonight?
If anybody can do it, it's going to be the driver behind that number 33 right now. I mean, he's had a rocket ship this entire speed weeks, if you want to call it. I mean, taking the pole. We're on board with him right now, looking back to the 24 of Stephen Lew Allen. He's in the position. We know that he's got the skill to do it. Like I said, if anybody can, Jeremy, it's definitely going to be that number 33.
Yeah, he's been getting stronger and stronger. There's a couple times throughout 2022 where I thought he was going to be, the car to beat in some races. A couple bad luck incidences, but overall his average finish has been pretty stout. So to see him up front leading the Daytona 250 here at FTSR and doing it so, with a good fashion here, his setup looks like it has a good package to where someone can draft behind him and push him well. And it's allowing the top lane, like the 17 right now, to not really make any advancement, as he's now side by side with the 67 who's moved up a couple spots. So that's going to be Mr. Joshua Johnson, or James Wallace, excuse me, there, as, the top 3 is still single file halfway through lap number 5 here on the backstretch.
Yeah, and like you said, that we've seen the 27 of Chapman hop up in the high line just in front of Loomis there in the 17. He's trying out that high line, seeing what's going on. But like you said, the 33 of Williford has got he's got some steady pushers right behind him right now. The 24 Lou Allen. We can't count out the 7 of Wayne back there either. I mean, he's been running solid. We know he knows how to get around. But you have the 2 teammates lined up right now, being Wallace and Johnson in the 67 and the 57 respectively, nose to tail. Not a surprise to see those 2 finding themselves together here at Daytona, Jeremy.
Yeah, no kidding, and also notation. I know the 33 Patriot Racing. He's on his own team. Also wanted to notate the 24 of Lou Allen, also on his own team. They're at Tafasi Racing, and then Mr. Wayne Grossi, who temporarily had joined a team last year, is back to being solo this year with Wayne Grossi Racing. So the top 3 really, they're holding the bottom all by themselves. No teammates. So maybe they're like, hey, you know what? We're all single drivers on our team. It's Daytona. Let's do a one-off and join up, and maybe we'll make something out of it. And right now, you know, that might not be a bad idea because they're leading strong there on the bottom.
Yeah, and they really are. And you might not be hitting that far from the mark, Jeremy. I mean, these 3 single car teams, so driver owners right now holding that top spot. But, I mean, we can't count out, like I said, a lot of the team drivers back there. Jeremy, we put in a number of laps here as well, driving on teams. We know that there's a number of these teams that'll just be riding in the back. They're just counting laps. You're not going to see them until about 30 to go. So about lap 70, next thing you know, you're going to see these drivers. So trust me, there's going to be a lot of moving and a lot of shaking before this thing's even, halfway done.
Yeah, that's a fact there, and looks like the field's kind of split up into 2 parts. Looks like the top 12 is going to be kind of about a second ahead of everybody else on back, as the back half of the field's kind of separated. A couple of smaller little groups, got a little more space in between each car. Right now, the top 12 or so are doing it strong here. The 27, you got Ryan Chapman now leading the charge on the top, and even he can't get past the 4th place car of James Wallace. So a really early story on right now, as these single car teams are kind of the class of the field right now, is the top lane with 2 different leaders have not been able to catch up to these top 3.
No, and that high side, like you said, is really having a hard time, but there is a distinct breakup here between some of the packs. Like you said, it's about that top 15 of all grouped together. Then you have a little bit of space there, starting with the 41 of Crowell. And then you have a little bit of space, and they're giving each other a little bit more room back there. But I tell you what, Jeremy, this high side is not giving up, though. They don't have near the manpower up there is that inside line, but they're not giving up either, as the 27 of Chapman has been holding solid alongside of Grossi, who's been running and holding in that 3rd place now for about the last 4 laps solid. So they're not giving up yet. They're just they're still trying to get organized.
And organized they have kind of a little bit here, as we're seeing the 18 of Hoskins close up on that front pack. So now, right now, the bottom is all one big group again. We got 5 cars on the top lane leading the charge up there. Then you got that long single file stretch. Minus 1 car. It looks like the 23 of Broda dropping back their solo car on the top, which these cars need draft. They need draft badly. You're not going to be able to hold too much on your own, or even with one other car. Definitely the numbers game is going to be in your favor when it comes to drafting. And you're seeing it right now. The bottom's just beating the top side up really bad right now. Though that top 5 group are on the top. They're led by of Ryan Chapman. They're doing pretty good for only having 5 cars up there. He's not utilizing all the side draft. You don't need to this early on. We're just coming up to complete lap 10. So it's going to make this race 10% complete. And it looks like the 27 has fallen back a couple, as the 57 now of Joshua Johnson gains a couple spots, moves himself up temporarily into 5th place.
Yeah, he's getting, I tell you what, the 57 of Josh Johnson is getting a lot of push right now from the 98 of Curtis. Curtis has been all over that back bumper of the 57, really working it. As you see, they're really trying to start getting organized there right now, as they temporarily went 3 wide. They're good heads up by everybody as they were going through, but that inside line now, Jeremy, really starting to push forward, and that 3 wide just split second there did not help that high line at all, as they lost a lot of momentum.
We had a car get sideways and sideways again as he entered pit road. Gonna be way faster than what the speed limit is. Take it back. It looked like a black car. Couldn't see the number off the top of my hand, but try to find that out for you. The one car is super sideways off of 4. Didn't look like any
Colby
contact
Meese,
made.
I believe.
Colby Meese and the number 9. Yep, that would have to be correct. And man, he's got the number 3 on the door, number 9 on the stat board here. But yeah, crazy loose here. So handling issues already, Dustin. I'm surprised only 10 laps in. Handling issues, but at least one of these cars so far.
Yeah, and I tell you what, you know that Colby, he was holding on for dear life on that one. Excellent job keeping that thing under control as much as possible, because that could have been way worse. He could have come right back up into the rest of the crowd there, elected to come down pit road, was coming down pit road faster than pit road speed, but that could have been way worse than what it was, Jeremy.
Yeah, pucker moment there for Mr. Colby as he's making his debut here at FTSR in 2023 Season A. Headed back up to the front. Not much has changed other than the 17 there. Steve Loomis is back on the front lead here on the top side. And now he's got the 15. That's Nicholas Moreau here. Of course, you know him. He takes every pole possible. Not this time at Daytona, but I think his streak was at 9 races straight.
9 races straight, yes. And that pushed me to dub him Rocket Man Moreau. So yeah, he knows how to put it on there, and he knows how to get it running up front there.
And you saw his teammate Fred Moreau in that black, green, and white Ford Mustang a couple laps ago. He was through. Who's that getting loose there in mid-pack? The 52, it looks like, of Matt Knight, middle of 1. He got really loose, saved the car. Again, no help. He just drove into the corner and it kicked out underneath him. So 2 cars now with handling issues so far. But back to what I was saying with Fred Moreau. He went down a lap about 5 laps ago, which is very unusual for him. He started in pit road, did not take the initial gridding. So by nature, he had no draft and it was inevitable for him to go a lap down, which he did so. But I would imagine after the stage break and whatnot, he should most likely be able to get a chance to get his lap back. And him and the Moreau Motorsports team with Vachon's, they're going to be a contender here later in this race.
Yeah, and Jeremy, one thing that I have noticed right now is there is a huge gap right now. 2 distinct packs going on. That first pack obviously being led by the 33 of Williford. This second pack right now being led by the 18 of Hoskins. But this pack in itself has a lot of fast drivers in it. I mean, Hoskins, Stubblefield, you got Hoover, Torgerson, you got Solari, Allen, McMullen, Lang, Mayu, Vachon. A lot of fast names in this pack here, so kind of wondering what happened. I don't know if this was maybe a byproduct of the Colby Meese getting loose there, coming down pit road, or what happened, but definitely 2 distinct packs right now.
Yeah, there's at least a 2 to 3 second gap here. If you look at the board, you have 1.4 seconds to 3.9. So 2.5 second break between these 2 groups here. And I would have to believe that partly stemmed from the fact that the 52 there got loose, Matt Knight, in turn 1, because they were pretty packed up there, especially on the bottom before that happened. So I'm sure they checked up out of safety and caused that little break there. But the top side's kind of broken up a little bit. You see Matt Knight maybe dipping down to the bottom. He's questioning it looks like, as the top 3 on the top are by themselves, and 4th and 5th on the top have kind of spaced themselves out. Again, that numbers game is headed the way for the bottom. 33, Sherwood Williford has led every single lap so far, Dustin, in 17 laps out of this 100 lap event here.
Yeah, and he has, but that 17 of Loomis is really trying to creep forward right now. Has now worked himself up alongside of second place. The 24 of Lou Allen, and he's trying to push up there. And the thing is, Jeremy, is this is exactly what that second pack needs. That second pack being led by Hoskins and Stubblefield right now, is these drivers racing, because they're slowly starting to reel in this lead pack again. So at this rate, Jeremy, we give it 5 laps or so, and we're going to have that big pack back together again. And then it's only going to be about 10 laps or so, and we're going to be hitting our first competition caution.
I'd imagine these guys to stay clean the rest of the way up until that caution break. A couple people in the chats here, Jessica Stubblefield and Jennifer Ray, both cheering on Stub Nation. Stub Nation is a team from Omnia Motorsports that has, of course, Timothy Stubblefield, Brian Hoskins, and Ryan Hoover. Those three guys do make up Omnia Motorsports as they're trying to get their season opener the best possible chance to a victory. But before we get to the stage break, Dustin, we're going to kick it over to a first commercial break. We'll be back with you guys after a few short messages here. Welcome back to full screen coverage here. The Full Throttle Sim Racing Daytona 250 presented here live on Nerd TV. And we went to commercial break, and you might have seen some of the camera angles, but this lead change, or changes, happened so drastically. We saw the 17 and Steve Loomis kick it over to the bottom lane to take over the inside lane, which was surprising because there were so much more people on the inside than there was the top. But if you started to notice, we had Matt Knight at 52 get loose in turn 4 and hit the outside wall. And then that inside lane, we've seen a lot of drivers starting to get sideways there on the bottom half, or the bottom of the track especially, not so much the top, but it's caused a lot of different situations here. We've seen Moreau with his buddy Fred Moreau kind of leading the outside. We see Richie Coy gained a bunch of spots, put himself, I think, one lap right now, led in the Daytona 250. 26 now, we're seeing Matthew Fashawn. That's going to be Moreau Motorsports, 1, 2, 3 right now on the top, excluding the 5. He's technically a lap down. so don't count him in the main pack there per se on the leaderboard. But a lot of change-up dust and a lot of cars having some handling issues, and it's really shaking up this field.
Yeah, like you said, I mean, everything just went so fast. You see these cars, they're dipping and diving all over the place. Like you said, Nicholas Moreau up there with the help from teammate Fred Moreau. Fred not for position, but still can provide that ever important draft help. But like you said, a lot of these cars, it's surprising, Jeremy, how uncomfortable they're getting. We've seen Knight get loose. We've seen Wallace kind of kick it sideways. I mean, we were, during the commercial break, we kind of, like I said, about 3 or 4 cars that just kicked it sideways. And they're struggling. But I tell you, one group that is just enjoying this so much right now, being led by the 12 of Stubblefield, is that second group right now, 16th on back. They have slowly been reeling in these guys. But the big difference, Jeremy, is these drivers here are just nose to tail. They are not side by side. They don't have that high line and that side draft to really, really slow them down or anything else. So, I mean, they're cooking, and you give it about another half a lap to a lap, and they're going to have that draft, and they're going to be up there, and we're going to have one big pack with about 9 laps left before we hit our first stage break.
Yeah, you were talking about that in great deal during that during the break to me about, and yeah, I've looked at the lap time since then, and they were, when I originally talked about it, that huge breakup, they were over 2.5 seconds separated, right? Now, they're only separated by 1 second, so they've gained 2/3 of their time up, and you nailed it on the head. They are single file. They are really close together. They don't have the outside pulling the air off their nose and causing them to bog down. So all it does in return is that second group has about 1 mile an hour or so extra on these guys up front. And, they're within that 1 second draft weight. So now that second pack can start to feel the air being broken off their nose just a touch. As you see the 3 car actually there, I think he hit the wall. Number 3, Brian Bliss, in that Kyle Busch lookalike scheme here. Yeah, he didn't hit the wall. Oh, some more contact there almost, it looked like. And he's through the grass now. He might have some handling issues on that number 3 machine. Mr. Brian Bliss taking the route to the inside, slamming on his brakes on the exit track here, and it looks like he will be getting out of his car. It's a light hit there off of turn 1 and 2. Probably broke something in that suspension dust and enabled him to not turn the car. Thankfully, didn't cause any caution there. And we're on now lap number 28 of, the remaining stage of stage 1, which is happening in about 8 laps.
Yeah, that could have been devastating on that one there. Just caught it after that contact. You see him going through the infield there, bouncing it, finally hitting the brakes. But like I said, there could have been some detrimental damage on that car when it hit it. I mean, we know exactly how soft these cars can be on the outside like that. It doesn't take much to break something on the suspension. And he was well off the pace after that wall slap. So definitely not the night and the start of the season that Brian Bliss wanted in that number 3. But again, it could have been a whole lot worse. Everybody kind of making it out, but it did slow up that second pack again a little bit, and they were making some good strides. And now they're all disorganized, Jeremy. They're all trying to make room and everything else, trying to get reorganized. Good thing is they don't need to push it. They have that stage break coming up, 6 laps before that stage break. They just need to ride it out. Everything will get closed back up then.
And you see right there that bright, almost highlighter style green number 8. That's Ryan Hoover. That's who Brian Bliss made contact with down the back straight. And it doesn't look like it affected his car. He gets a little looser off of turn number 4. He's able to keep up with the 23 of Brody Hanna here as this pack is still kind of grouped up trying to do their thing. But they will get there, of course, because of that stage break. But yeah, definitely messed up any type of chance of gaining any position before the break happens. So it'll be a 2-pack race here heading off into the final 6 laps here. Still, Fred Moreau right now beating the bumper on the 15 there of Nicholas Moreau. His teammate gained about a car length space there over 3rd place. Well, yeah, 2nd place technically there, Matthew Bichon. As James Wallace leads there in 4th place. He's been sitting in the top 5 for the most part of this race through the first 30 laps now. as the top side now has the numbers game, and I think that has to do in part of the car handling issues. But as soon as I say that, James Wallace goes to the bottom here. He's going to bring his teammate there, Joshua Johnson, in the 57, as they're going to head off here into turn number 1, passing the 26. So James Wallace will take second place. And Dustin, if I remember correctly, 2022, James Wallace had the car that was better on the long run. You don't think of long run handling at Daytona, but apparently he's brought it with him again, and now he's going to have draft help to get side by side with current race leader Nicholas Moreau. And he's got a nose on him exiting 4.
Yeah, I tell you what, in the push he was getting from teammate Josh Johnson, my goodness, there wasn't much that you could do on that one. You couldn't even fit anything in between those cars. But yeah, you were correct, Jeremy. I mean, the 67 to Wallace had that long run speed. His car just did not degrade there like everybody else has. Got a little disorganized there. That top line came back through. But, I mean, they starting to get organized on that bottom line, Jeremy. If they could just, little bobble there from the 67, as I was about ready to say, if they could just get reorganized and get going. But there's that handling coming in, Jeremy. It is, it's a little disturbing to see these cars handling and struggling as much as what they are at Daytona like that, as this is not the place you want handling issues for sure.
Gave him a little bit of broadcaster's curse, if I don't say, saying, oh, we got Mr. Wayne Grossi had close contact there with the guy in front of him. We got to see which car that was. Looks like he went for a little bit of a block on Wayne Grossi and almost turned himself around on that nose. That being the
Crowell,
like 41. Yeah, the Crowell 41, making it really close there. But right now it's paying off for him. That inside lane kind of fell apart there. 167. James Wallace got a little squirrely. But they're tight niched again. 2 Fords on the bottom, leading it all the way. Or no, it's Chevrolet and Ford. I apologize there. But the top side kind of, it looks like one guy down going to the bottom there. Looks like Chris Curtis there in the 98. Now wants to lead the charge on the bottom. Is there coming up 2 laps to go before we get our stage break?
Yeah, now with this here, 2 laps prior to the stage break, pit road is closed. So at this point in time, race officials will close the pit road as they got that 2-lap mark. So it is what it is at this point in time. These drivers are running it out. But you see that high line, Jeremy, is as we're on board right now with Chris Curtis in that Blackwater Motorsports ride. But he just, that high line has just got it going. I'm wondering, Jeremy, with the way that these cars have been handling, if that high line is not the best, most stable place towards the end of a long run, because it seems like a lot of these cars that we've seen here lately, they've been getting loose, have been on that inside lane, not so much on the outside.
Yeah, the handling is just not there. You see the 57, Joshua Johnson. It looks like he got a little sideways, but Fred Moreau really slow here on the top half. 57 zooms by him, and you see Chris Curtis do the same thing almost before the 15 gathers the 5 up and starts pushing him forward again, as we're on the last lap here before we get our first caution. Let's see if anything can happen for the 15, as he's now got to rely on Fred to zoom past and exit off of turn number 2. 5 carries a lot of speed there. Is going to carry the 15 at least to second. The 57 looks like he had a huge shot from both the 98 and the 25 to get them going. The 15, Moreau just clears the 57 like nothing, and Vachon, his teammate right behind him, going to try to do the same thing. And you see the 24 of Stephen Llewellyn trying to make a good little run back here, but coming to the line, it's not the 5 leading, it's the 15. Going to be Nicholas Moreau at the line. Will win stage number 1 for race number 1, which gives him, the most points. 1 point per position there. Top 10, kind of how similar how NASCAR does it. So Nicholas Moreau, first stage winner of the season.
Yeah, I tell you what, though, they did exactly what we figured they were going to, Jeremy. I mean, they raced smart. They kept it clean, did what they needed to. No cautions. That one right there was the first one coming out. A lot of close calls, a lot of good saves, a lot of good heads-up driving by a lot of drivers. A lot of these cars not handling to spec the way that they want to. But I tell you what, it's good to see some of these names up there as well. I mean, we have your typical names up there, but it's good to see like Josh Johnson up there, Chris Curtis up there running well, Crowell was running well, Loomis, Grossi, Chapman was running well. I tell you what, Anderson as well, Hedrick. So Jeremy, we're only 37 laps into this 100 laps, so, man, this is going to get good. It's going to get good real fast.
Yeah, the second half should be just as fun, and maybe we'll see the longer run of how well these tires will hold up. Maybe these drivers will make some changes to make these cars more stable. But as we are under caution, it is a perfect time to thank our sponsors once again. So we're going to kick it over to picture-in-picture mode here as we go to commercial break. We'll be back with you guys after a few short messages. And welcome back to full screen coverage for the Full Throttle Sim Racing Cup Series presented by Mach-1 Performance. As we're, got a half a lap before we go back to green flag, we're going to do our Nerd TV Top 10 recap for you guys. Matthew Fashawn actually going to take the P1 spot here, coming to the green flag on lap 40 to start off the 60-lap stint to the end of the race. There will be one pit stop in between as long as it goes green the whole way. Second place, Nicholas Moreau. Really good, strong-looking car here. Let's see if him and his team can get stay up there for the remainder of the race. Stephen Llewellyn was running strong early on. A little bit of handling issues, but able to find himself back into third place. Let's see what he's got changes made and see if he can hold the top 5 or top 10 for the remainder of this race. 19, Richie Coy, finding himself in a good spot here, currently in 4th. Chris Curtis, the 98, holding strong here in the top 10 all race long. He's in 5th. Joshua Johnson in 6th place. Ryan Chapman in 7th. Robert Anderson in the 53 in 8th. James Torrey in 9th place. And top 10 on this restart is going to be Steve Loomis. A lot of these cars, Dustin, have been holding the top 10 for the most part this race. That's a couple people who've had some handling issues and whatnot. Pace car is down, though. Green flag is out for the second time this evening. First restart, Matthew Pashon going to take a whole car length advantage over his teammate. Nicholas Moreau shifts up to the top really quick. That was super expected for one of those cars to shift lanes to help the other teammate out. But it's going to allow Stephen Liu out on that 24 to make a good charge here on the bottom. Let's see if Chris Curtis here on the 98 can do anything with Moreau Motorsports, as Richie Coy is going to kind of close in onto the 15's back bumper here as they exit turn number 2, Dustin.
Yeah, you see that top line starting to get organized, but so is that bottom lane. They got the 24 Luau and the 98 of Curtis, and on board right now with the 27 of Chapman. They're starting to really get pushing right now, and it looks like they're starting to push forward. A little bit of space in between the 19 of Coy and the 15 of Moreau, though, which is unlike both of those drivers. We've seen both of those drivers last season duke it out quite a bit. And by duke it, I mean it's friendly competition. They're not causing any issues. But those drivers there, I mean, they were always right around each other. It's anybody's ball game at this point in time, Jeremy. Like you said, right now we still have some type of pit stop of some kind that we still have to go through, whether it's under caution, hopefully not under caution, or under green flag conditions. But huge push on that high line right now, Jeremy.
Those two teammates, they've had lots of practice coming into this event, and they know how to push each other around this track. They know how the setup works, and they know where they make up the time. And right now, you saw it toward the end of that first stage where the 15, the 5, and the 26 worked really well together to just zoom their way up on the top side to get to where they needed to be on that restart, being first and third. But Richie Coy now going to the bottom. He's going to lead Stephen Liu Allen to turn number 1 here as he's door-to-door with the 15. With that 53 there, Robert Anderson, this is the highest he's been all race long. Let's see what that Toyota Camry has in store for us here. And speaking of which, the Toyota Camrys, last season was only Brian Bliss. And now we have like Ryan Hover, we have Robert Anderson. We got a couple more Toyotas in this field, so a little stronger, a little loose there, yeah. Could have been pretty tragic there because this is the front half of the field. That could have done a lot of damage, but able to keep it going. Right now, the top side, though, Mr. Matthew Pashon going to lead lap 42.
Yeah, Vachon up there leading lap 42 right now. He does have the 15 in Moreau right behind him, and the 23 of Brody Hanna. If you remember, he was back in that second pack prior to that stage break, and now he's up here making a pass for second. Has made that pass, trying to go for first place. Just jumped on the low line right now in front of the 53 of Anderson that you said was running so well right now. And then right behind Anderson, none other than Richie Coy, Mr. Hanna's teammate. So again, you got 2 out of the 3 Fury Motorsports drivers right there. And I would be led to believe, and it looks like, if I'm not mistaken, I see a blue Menards car, not but about 4 cars back.
That would be Tony Solari, the first time we mentioned him, really, since the drop of the green flag. That was green Menards last season. Now going to be a blue Menards Ford Mustang. 5th car in line on the top. As I notated on Wednesday, this guy, perhaps the setups for Fury Motorsports of being Richie Coy, Brody Hanna, and Tony Solari himself. He knows the road course as well, and he knows the super speedways well. That's his forte. So
Don't
it's no
forget the
surprise
dirt.
to see the dirt as well. Good call on that notion. This guy knows how to get it done here. Taking the really simple, just kind of casually laying the back, and I'll show my face about halfway through. And here we are on lap 45 almost. And we got 2 of the Fury Motorsports guys up here. And Brody Hanna, don't forget him as well. You haven't talked about him much because he was in the back half of the field. He's now leading the charge on the bottom. Currently scored that time in 5th place.
Yeah, so these drivers definitely moving it up. But like I said, Jeremy, we've seen a lot of shifting going on. So some of these drivers that were in that back pack are now up in this front pack. Some of the drivers that were at the tail end of that front pack, like Stubblefield right now, is back to 23rd. But everybody, I mean, you could throw a blanket under all these drivers right now, Jeremy. That's just how close they are. And you know as well as I exactly how fast that this race can turn around. We're only working lap 45 of 100 right now. We still got 55 laps to go before we sit here and crown a Daytona 250 champion here in the Mach-1 Performance Cup Series.
Yeah, speaking of Mach-1 Performance, I'd love to give them a shout out. because they are sponsoring this Monday Night Series and have done so now for 3 consecutive seasons. Produce champions and winners in all sorts of racing divisions, from road circuits like the SCCA and NASA to dirt and pavement oval racing. If you have a car that needs some work done to it and Mach-1 Performance is in your area, please give them a visit. You're going to go to facebook.com/Mach-1 Performance and see what they're all about. As they're now coming up to lap 47, still Moreau Motorsports leading it 1-2, and then you got James Wallace right behind them, Tony Solari, Wayne Grossi, the first solo driver team on the charts right now, top 5 there. Then you got the 0-2. That's going to be Josh Mayhew. We haven't seen him crack the top 5, but right now, as he sits in front of that 7, this is the first time he's seen himself in the top 5.
Yeah, and you're not wrong there. And we want to give a shout out as well as, wow, good cut there by the 11 of Solari. Give a shout out to the chats. The chats are open. We are monitoring the chats. Do want to give a shout out to our fellow co-host in the booth on Wednesdays. Tim Tripler has been shouting us out a couple times on Facebook. Love to hear from you, buddy. I know Jeremy has shouted out Jennifer Ray. We want to give a shout out to Jessica Stubblefield as well. Rooting on Stub Nation there, currently running, just trying to run a clean race, and she is absolutely right. It is anyone's race at Daytona, and it can change in a fraction of a second. And I would just have to believe that Stubbs himself is probably just riding, waiting until the final few laps before making that final move.
Don't tell that to Moreau Motorsports, as they have just been dominant here ever since, like, lap 15 or 20, where they've kind of taken over and done their own thing. And now we got the number 5 of Fred Moreau. He has got his lap back. He was the lucky dog there on that stage break. So, and right now he's gained himself all the way up to 12th place. So once he's in on the top side right now, if he can find his way up to the top 5 or whatnot, that Moreau Motorsports team, Dustin, I think is going to be the team to beat at the moment. But you are right. Anything can happen. It is a super speedway race. One wrong bump from anybody from anywhere could change up the entire complexity of this race.
Yeah, and it really can, just in a fraction of a second. Like you said, Moreau Motorsports, all the drivers need to be aware. They have a lot of drivers out there, and there's a couple other teams out there that have just as many drivers, 3-4 drivers as well. As far as being on the team, that's going to be to their benefit right now. The ones that are going to have to really work at it, and you could possibly be seeing this, could just be a product of, the way it's running. But that 33 of Williford, we know is a single car team, was up front leading majority of that first stage, that first stint of the stage. Now finding himself back in 14th right now, and just behind a slew of drivers. It's like a traffic jam on steroids right now, Jeremy. They're just going so fast, but not going anywhere very fast at all.
And as I notated too there before the green flag is, I mentioned it because Denny Hamlin had mentioned it on his podcast, that there was a lot of 2-wide racing. There's not going to be much 3-wide. And we haven't seen the 3-wide, though I know we saw the late handling issues in that stage 1 right before we went to the first caution. And these guys also run a pretty clean race. I don't expect much 3-wide, but at the same token, I'm curious to know, will there be a 3-wide chance? Will someone try to break it and try to do something there? But I haven't seen it when I've driven these cars at Daytona or Talladega, and I don't see it much from this group either. I'm just curious if there's going to be any chance of 3-wide and maybe make a late race move. I guess time will tell here, as we're now officially halfway through this event. But yeah, right now it's kind of spaced out. I'm surprised. You see the top 5 really there. Then there's a big break between the 67 and the 17 there of Loomis and Wallace. These are kind of taking it a little bit easier, I suppose. But if you look back a little further, that white, green, and black car, Mr. Fred Moreau, now finding himself, well, I thought it was top 10. It was close. But right now, that Fred machine trying to get up there to his teammates. It's going to make this a little more challenging for everybody in this field.
Yeah, and like you said, Jeremy, I mean, it's aside from the top 5, they're not giving much space in between each other at all. And as you get further back, you see a little bit more space going on. Ooh, big bunch up there right behind Fred. Fred had to check up. The 98 of Curtis had to check up, as did the 24 of Lou Allen. All of them had to check up on that one, so a little bit of bumper car tag there, but able to keep going. But as I was saying, a lot of the drivers will give a little bit more room as you get further back. Again, they're just riding it out. We're on working lap 53 right now of 100, Jeremy. I mean, we're still sitting at 47 laps left. There's still a lot of race left here at Daytona, and as it has already been stated and by Jessica Stubblefield herself, it's Daytona. It's anybody's race. And she just chimed in as well, Jeremy, said, I say no 3 wide until closer to the end. Not as wide as other tracks, and I 110% agree with you. As a driver, I can push it 3 wide at Daytona, but I find it a little bit more challenging than pushing it 3 wide at Talladega, because Talladega, you got a little bit more room. I could run 3 wide there comfortably all day long. It's a little trickier here, and I would agree, waiting until the end. That's going to be one of those wild card moves, pulling it out of the hat, Hail Mary style thing to try to get something going, especially with the way these cars have been handling. I don't know if anybody's really going to want to try to push it 3 wide there, Jeremy.
No, and also I wanted to notate as I actually, on this topic specifically, I watched the Travis Pastrana interview after the race was over, and he had talked about how it looks much wider on TV, and then you hop into one of these cars and you're like, man, there is no room. Like, it is so tough to make any type of 3 wide happen. It's just so crammed. So it might look like they're spaced out there, and you get one of these cars and you actually don't know exactly where your door panel is on each side, where your fenders might be. So to run 3 wide, you're risking, more than what you think. So I'm going to have to agree as well. I would say maybe 3 wide, 15 laps left, maybe 10, depending on how much positions you need to gain and where your teammates are at. That'll, be determined here in the next 40 laps or so. Also, pit stops. I know we saw them go 35 laps without a single stop, so they can at least run that. They started green flag on lap 40, so it's going to be an exact 60 laps to the finish. So they could cut this race in half and go 30 laps in and then the other 30 laps, or they can try to run it dry, take less time in the pit road and top off the fuel where they need it, and then head on out. So we could see some strategy on that. I would imagine some teams are going to pit solo. Maybe we'll see a big group. So it's going to be a good little combination of who pits when and where. So keep your eye out for that as well.
Yeah, and we can't forget, Jeremy, Daytona. I know that these drivers here at FTSR, there's some fast-ass, clean drivers, but it's Daytona. I still have a feeling that caution is just waiting to rear and show its ugly face at some point in time, and it's going to throw a monkey wrench in everything that these drivers planned. I want to give a shout out to Colby as well. Said, well, I tried, my equipment failed, but I tell you what, buddy, you had one hell of a save coming off, because that car was all but slideways and byways, and you kept it out of the wreck, elected to go down pit road on that. So hell of a job saving it there. And thanks again for the shout out and for letting me know that I failed as a producer by not having my mic on. I appreciate that too. So, but yeah, Jeremy, it's gonna get crazy on how it comes up here, and it's always interesting to see how they're gonna play out these pit strategies.
It's a product of what happens when you have to make a last-second switcheroo, but no problem. We got awesome people here watching that kind of keep us on our toes and on track, so appreciate you once again. But we're 57 laps into now this 100-lap event for the opening 2023 season of Daytona. I think it's fair that we go to our final commercial break under green flag situation. So once we thank our sponsors one last time, we'll be back with you guys to run it to the rest of the way. And welcome back to full screen coverage once again, as we are 62 laps into this 100 season opener here at the simulated Daytona International Speedway. And right when we kicked it off to break shortly after, we saw the 37, you can see on your replay here, Brian Dublé coming off of turn number 4, and the automatic camera, there it is. He got really sideways off of turn 4. I think he barely scraped his left rear quarter panel onto the inside wall there. Really slowed down that car, and he is out of the draft and has to, work to get that thing back on the lead lap. It's going to take some luck with a caution brake to get that thing caught up onto the lead lap. But right now, 37 Brian Dublé issues halfway through this race. We're going to take it back to the front car here. The 26 Matthew Vachon still leading the way with his teammate Nicholas Moreau. James Wallace there, the fastest Boomerang Motorsports car. Still to this point, this top 4 has been the same, Dustin, for like the past probably 20 laps or so, basically since the start of the stage 2. But everybody else is kind of mixing things up. Steve Loomis, 17, still running the bottom. He's been leading that bottom lane for quite some time now. And also the 39, Troy Torgerson, his first time crack on the top 5 this evening there in that black and orange number 39 Chevrolet Camaro. As he dips down to the bottom, he leads now for the first time on the bottom.
Yeah, like I said, I mean, for the most part, a lot of these drivers have been the usual suspects, have been up here since we went back to green flag racing after that stage break. But again, it's nice to see some of these other drivers. You see the 14 right there of Stephen Allen right now up there. We remember him. He was back there in that second pack towards the end. I do believe started shotgun on the field too. You do see the 8 of Hoover back there running in the top 10. Loomis in the top 10 as well. 3 wide, real sketchy situation right here, right now. Good heads-up driving. You also see Hoover's teammate Hoskins back there as well. So a lot of new faces, new drivers up here. As Jeremy, they're still 3 wide right now trying to work that. That's very, very hairy situation.
Yeah, it looked like the 71 of Casey there. Casey McMullen was just trying to get around him, and it looked like temporarily the lap car was in some draft, so was able to keep up momentarily, and it caused the 71 to have a little checkup there. But he finally got around him, no problem. And Dustin, what I've noticed too, I've had my camera zoomed out here for the past couple laps, and these guys are really spaced out. You got the first 5 or 6 cars on the top, just kind of leading their way, and it's side by side for the next 3 or 4 rows. And then it's just really spaced out single file action on the bottom half of the track. A lot of give and take going on here. Only 35 laps to go in this race. So I would imagine at some point in time they're going to find their teammates and come down for pit road as we're approaching the halfway mark here of stage number 2. Still curious to know when they're going to make that pit stop, because at any point in time, if they come down pit road, they can technically make it on fuel. It just depends on how well these cars are handling, and it looks like, to me, Dustin, the cars that had handling issues have kind of fixed themselves. It looks like the track situation got a little rubber in the track, or it's just been, making some wedge adjustments or track bar adjustments or whatever the case they had to. But I've seen a lot more stability in this pack here for stage 2.
Yeah, and I'm sure that a lot of these drivers, when they come down and got fresh tires, they also made some, some pressure adjustments, some adjustments on the car, and that's going to help out these long runs right now. But you're absolutely right, Jeremy. I mean, you're seeing 2 distinct lines right now going up, and that top line is almost fully surpassed that bottom one, but a lot of lining up right now, Jeremy. Like you said, at any point in time, they could come down and make it to the end. So the question is, when are these drivers going to start peeling off? Who's going to be the brave souls that are going to be the first ones to peel off, and how big of a group are they going to bring with them, and how big of an issue is it going to cause as they come down? Because, Jeremy, the first time we had pit stops was under caution for that stage break, and they were under speed. These guys are peeling off this track 190 mile an hour and have to roll it all the way down to pit road speed. So it's going to get interesting real fast.
Yeah, that time is very momentarily. I would imagine any time you're going to start to see these guys dip down. See the 57, it looks like. Is that Mr. Joshua Johnson there leading the minus 18? I do apologize. 18 of Brian Hoskins He took over the top spot there with Stephen Lou Allen riding right behind him. He's now trying to lead the bottom, and what I've noticed, Dustin, is we've seen a lot of guys this past 10 laps. Oh, here we go. Fury Motorsports down 11, 23, 19. It looks like they have one other person with them. Going to be starting off this pit road sequence here on lap 68, coming into lap 69. Looks like we have a total of 4 guys. The 53 as well. He's going to join Fury Motorsports. That's Robert Anderson. So 4 cars down pit road to start this, and we've seen this too all last year. Really, we've seen Fury Motorsports take the early dip into pit road. Oh, and you're seeing some contact. Stephen Lou Allen. You got Ryan Hoover and also Lane Allen. Looks like in the mix a little bit there. I don't know if he just didn't see exactly where his car was. Maybe. Oh, and then we see the Josh Mayu door slap Ryan Hoover for almost no reason. I almost wanted to believe that the tire situation is starting to fall off here. We're seeing now a bunch of others. Casey McMullen, Lane Allen. Looks like Steve Loomis, Chris Curtis, and Sherwood Williford, tonight's pole sitter. 5 more cars down pit road, but that was a pretty hectic lap or two there.
Jeez, these guys are trying everything but wrecking. Oh my goodness, so many close calls there. Good heads up driving by everybody, because that could have been way worse. But it did. It slowed up and put a lot of space in between a lot of these drivers going through, which is going to mess up their pit strategy right now coming in. I do want to shout out to the Stig. He always has our back. He's our official, unofficial pit road reporter, so to speak. Does come at us and say that the 37 at Dublé had a wheel issue, which is why he went off track earlier during the last commercial break that we showcase when we come back from commercial.
Yeah, the Stig's got us there, and I do not believe, Miss Jessica, that there's any fast repairs there in this series. We can get confirmation later for you, but I do not believe there is any. But yeah. That was pretty crazy.
Correct, Jeremy. I do not believe there is any fast repairs here at FTSR.
Yeah, just at all between the 3 major series that they got going on with the ARCA, the Trucks, and the Cup Series. I think we're seeing the 26 of Ashawn. He's on the radio. I think he might be coming down for his first stop. He is below the double yellow, and here comes the teammates. Got James Wallace as well. Stephen Lou Allen, the 24. Fred Monroe, the 5. And Stephen Lou Allen overshoots the exit, spins his car out, does a 180 through the grass. That's going to be an unsafe pit entrance. So on top of losing all of that time, he's also going to get a black flag penalty for unsafe entrance. He needs a caution or his night is done. And you talked about it. This is the first time we've seen him come down to pit road at speed. 24, first person to show you how hard it is to get down in speed and time here at Daytona.
Yeah, and it is so tough. I mean, you think it's just as easy as getting on the brakes, but these cars, they do not, it does not agree with them, especially coming off of the banking. I mean, you're coming off of banking, even down the straightaway, there is still degrees of banking that are coming in. As we see the 7 of Grassi coming in. He does have some help. Ooh, man, coming in hot. The 57 of Josh Johnson, teammate Ryan Hedrick, and Chad Lang coming in. I thought Johnson was going to overshoot it almost like Stephen Lou Allen did. But that's exactly right. I mean, right now, I mean, you see the 24 is still in there serving that penalty. He is going to have a caution and hope that he can get lucky dog recipient to try to get that back in order to get into contention. And that's the tough thing about it. It's tough. It is really tough. Want to give a shout out to the Stig again. He says, yeah, for Boomerang Motorsports. Anyways, he's in Discord with them. So we at least get the ins and outs with Boomerang Motorsports when it comes to that. So appreciate that. Appreciate everybody shouting us out and joining in on the chat as well. We do see the 8 of Hoover as well is on his way back out. So again, green flag pit stops, Jeremy, for the most part, pretty light. Not too terrible on the way in. But again, I guess it all depends on who you are, because Stephen Lou Allen would probably say otherwise.
Yeah, the lone driver for Tifosi Motorsports. Heartbreak. He was top 5, top 10 all race long. We've been doing this thing now for just over an hour. And to just come in and have one mental lapse of where your braking point is, that's all it took. Maybe a little bit too much rear brake. He's just trying to get down to speed and just couldn't do it, and the grass kind of helped him do the 180. Just a huge heartbreak there for that 24 team. You got the camera right now on the number 23, Brody Hanna. He is currently your race leader, 3/4 of the way complete in the Daytona 250 at FTSR at the simulated virtual Daytona International Speedway. And he's got his teammates, Tony Solari, the 19 of Richie Coy right behind him. So Fury Motorsports out of nowhere now taking this thing 1, 2, 3 as we have the 53, Robert Anderson behind him, Troy Torgerson, they're in the 39, and then Josh Mayu in the 02. 6 cars, Dustin, lead this pack for, it looks like about 5 or 6 seconds back before you get to the big pack. If they can keep lined up on the bottom and stay formal, single file, they can get there. They have the numbers game. But can they stay single file right now? That answer is nope. But they also have 25 laps to do it. So right now, comfortable lead here for these top 6.
Yeah, they'll stay single file for about 20 laps, Jeremy, about 20 of it. You see a gaggle in this shot right now behind them as they are all racing. But one thing to remember, and right now that's that whole group being led by the 18 of Hoskins right now. So he's really getting a push from the 67 of Wallace. But that front 6, Jeremy, 4 out of those 6 were the first cars to pit. That being the 3 Fury Motorsports and that 53 of Mr. Anderson were the first 4 to come down pit road for green flag pit stops, and look where it put them at right now. They came in, they were out of the way from all the beating and banging that slowed everybody up, and that potentially could have put a lot of these drivers in the second pack right now that are on, you folks are watching that are on screen, could have put them in this situation here. So again, that's why pit strategy is, I mean, it's a big player when it comes to these plate races, Jeremy.
And if you notice too, the 7 there of Wayne Gross, when he came down pit road, he did have partners, but his partners were like 2 seconds behind him, as they're rolling up to get into pit road. So when you come off pit road and you don't have a draft partner for a lap, that's 2 to 3 seconds on the track, right? So if they had all 4 or 5 of those cars bundled up, entering pit road and exiting pit road, we might see a 10 car or 11 car lead pack right now. But the fact that they're so spaced out entering pit road, they lost so much time, and that's why you see them, all those drivers there in that group I just mentioned, they're in this big secondary pack. So now they got to fight their way, got to hope that somehow, some way this group can get together. Just, they're getting too racy back there. They're going to need a caution. They're going to need something. Even if this front pack does decide to go too wide, it's not going to be enough time, as they are 6 seconds behind the last car in this first group. They've actually gained 2 seconds since we last talked about it just a few short laps ago. That just shows you how much consistency a single car line has over the 2 wide secondary pack here. Huge difference in speed. They have to get single file if they want to do anything, as they got now 23 laps to go in the season opener.
Yeah, and like you said, right now we're on board with Josh Mayu. They're halfway down the backstretch. That pack is just now coming out of turn 2. This next pack right now is just now entering 3. You can see the distance there, but the biggest thing right now is this pack that we're on board with. That's Mayu right there. These 6 drivers, Jeremy, like you said, are just, they're running nose to tail. They're keeping it tight. There's no side by side. Now we are at 23 to go, 22 as they cross the line right now. Don't expect these front 6 to remain like this, because they're not, Jeremy. We all know that they're not. They're going to get racy. And I have a feeling it's going to be a 3-3 split. You're going to see the 3 Fury Motorsports drivers try to work together, but you're going to see these other 3 as well, being Mayu, Torgerson, and Anderson. I think they're going to team up, especially if it goes caution-free the rest of the way and it comes down to these 6. I think it's going to be a good duke out to the end.
Yeah, a couple newcomers here with Robert Anderson and Troy Torgerson. I think Fury Motorsports is probably going to have that F1 mentality of teamwork over victory. And what I mean by that is I don't see the 19 or the 11 dipping out of line with the 23 to try to pass each other. I think of these 3 cars, of how this race has gone so far, the bottom lane for the most part has been your dominant lane. So if those 3 cars can just stick together on the bottom, because they know and they've run with each other for so long, I don't think they're passable. I think they're going to try to get Fury as high as they can, or flip of the coin, they could try to block the lane. So what they could do is, or block the track. So what they could do is have the 11 move up to the top, go side by side with the 23, and that'll guarantee Fear Motorsports a first and second place finish, because you can't really do 3 wide in these cars. At least it hasn't looked like it up to this point. So if you block the track, you're guaranteed the top 2 in hopes that the third place car, in this case Richie Coy, can get third. If not, at least he'll get fourth, which is still a really good solid finish. So they have 2 different strategies they could play out in this race, as we got 20 laps to go now in the season opener.
Yeah, and anything could happen. I mean, at this point in time, I mean, we know it can. It just, I just want to scream out if any of these drivers in that second pack are listening, and just tell them, get out of that high line or get out of the low line. Everybody just get in one lane and just drive. You got 20 laps to go right now. If you guys want any chance, you guys, because they got to get in a line, because right now the side draft is just slowing them up. We know how these cars work, how the aero package works. You slow up so bad by sucking the side draft off of each other, that this second pack has to work together as one cohesive unit if they want to try to track down those front 6. It's not going to work any other way, Jeremy.
Let me run that number to you. 6 cars by themselves in that front pack. 18 cars in this secondary pack that's all bundled in one little group here. Right now, between now and 5 laps to go, they've lost 2 seconds on your top 6. That really shows you how that side draft just bogs down the bottom, and in return the top can't do anything with them, and it's just tragic right now. So I think at this point, even if they were to go single file, they're going to be stretching it thin to even make it back, as they're almost 10 seconds behind this top 6. It's pretty impressive, really, to see all these cars that can't progress anywhere because they're going side by side. It really just shows you how important this draft is with these next-gen cars. You can't rely on the side draft, because it just slows down the guy next to you and really just slows down the overall lap time. And they lost another 3/10 that lap alone. But you see the 15 Nicholas Moreau, the 67 of James Wallace, now the 5 of Fred Moreau. 3-car separation on the top here. I don't know if they got a little bit extra steam on the top and hold it, but as they go down halfway down the backstretch, it looks like that's not the case. The 98 Chris Curtis gets a great launch there with the 33 of Sherwood Williford, giving him some excellent draft help down the backstretch. He's going to now clear or at least try to clear the 15 on corner exit 4. So somehow down that backstretch, that inside line said, hey, I got some train speed. I'm going to go ahead and try to move this thing forward. Dead heat to the line. And we lose another 0.3 of a second to the top 6, Dustin, as now we got 17 laps to go.
Oh, this is just, it's so brutal, and I know it's painful, and I've been in these drivers' shoes just as you have, Jeremy, on how frustrating it is that, I mean, you can see those 6 cars up there. They're still in your screenshot. You know, they're still there. You know they are. As we're on board right now, I mean, they're losing spots. They're almost out of the screenshot right now. We're on top on board with Curtis on that number 98, as he's coming off of turn 4, and they're already done through the tri-oval. They're not even in eyesight. So, I mean, this is the frustrating part when it comes to this track. These drivers, you know, may have, at 16 laps to go, Jeremy, may have waited too long to get organized and get in line. The only thing that's going to save them right now is going to be a caution to bunch everybody back up, and that's exactly what the top 6 do not want to see right now, because they know that if the race ends as it's running right now, a green flag all the way to the end, they only have to worry about 6 drivers to battle it out for that win, not 26.
And look off the roof of this camera here from Chris Curtis. If you noticed, we're seeing some single file. The first 5 cars on the bottom here are single file, and let me tell you, that half a lap they formed that up, they gained a 10th on your top 6. That is the story. You have to do it. And if they can somehow keep this without the top lane making moves, like you see, the 15 of Moreau is going to make a good charge here with James Wallace on the top, and it's going to delete what they had going here. The top 4 cars in the second pack gained a half a second that lap. But when Nicholas Moreau now gets to the side of the 7 and eventually the 33, that's going to delete that momentum. So right now the 15 just kind of sealed the fate of pack number 2. He's trying to make his, I know what he's doing. He's trying to get as many spots as he can to get to the checkered flag, inside the top 10. I understand it. But at the same time, you're just hindering this pack from even trying to get up front. I know we're down to, 16 laps at this point, it looks like, coming to the line, or 15 rather, but it's all but over. You see the inside now just fall apart. Now they're spaced out again. This is really going to slow down this pack here, as they're now left and right all over the place, trying to gain any spot they can within the second pack. But yeah, contact. The 67 into the 5 of Fred Moreau, the 57. Joshua Johnson gets involved a little bit as well, and they're still trying to stack them up forward right off the exit of turn number 2. Looks like the 18 there on the bottom in that Toyota Camry.
No caution.
Nobody spun. There was a bunch of wrecks, but nobody actually spun. In this league, I mean, iRacing, I don't think would throw the caution, obviously, but the league doesn't throw manual cautions either, so you have to rely on the iRacing stewards to say, hey, guys, we got to throw this caution, but they don't do it if there's a car not spun, and that's huge. 67, James Wallace, top 5 contender for the most part of this race. He's now out of contention of even finishing inside the top 10, and there's several other guys, too. Huge implications there. The 5 of Fred Moreau, he's done. That spaces out, as you see on your camera. 5 cars in the secondary pack, led by the 33 of Sherwood Williford in 7th place. Huge implications there for the back half of the field. That definitely seals the fate for this top 6, as long as they can bring it home safe, Dustin. Yeah,
and as long as nothing else happens. And that's the crazy thing when it comes to the racing like this here is, as Jessica called it, and there we go. But no caution happened. Is, like you said, Jeremy, if there's not a car that goes sideways like that, even if they are off the pace, it's so hard for iRacing to throw a caution like that. In FTSRs, that's one thing and one rule that they have always had, that they do not throw cautions besides the stage break cautions. They do not throw any other cautions. It's all iRacing. So, but it is crazy, and we just look at it in awe at times, Jeremy, when we see something like that happen, and it affects and brings 15 cars almost off pace, and they all almost make contact and no caution. And like you said, you got 6 cars leading it right now. Then you got another group of 5 cars in a little pack. And, then you go further back, and then you got more cars in a pack. And they're right now, I think, led by the 27 of Chapman. It's you got 3 distinct packs right now. And as long as it goes, that front pack they're clean sailing.
And I love that rule, and I praise the admins here at FTSR for allowing that iRacing caution only rule. It keeps the league completely unbiased, right? If you try to throw manual cautions, the first thing some guy might think is, oh, they did it for this, but not for this. You don't have to worry about that. It's a completely unbiased opinion through the entire race. Every single race, you know exactly what to expect. There's not going to be any one-off situations of anything of that nature, so it keeps it clean, keeps it honest. But sometimes you see that wreck like that, and you're like, man, come on, that's definitely a caution worthy. But once again, you got to keep it honest. That's what's going on here. And iRacing does not throw cautions unless there's someone really off pace next to the leader. In a case that was in the middle of the pack, you're not going to see that caution thrown. Exactly what you saw there. So definitely is going to lock in this top 6 unless there's some type of caution that comes out. Which, at this point, there's a lot of cars spaced out. Your biggest group is going to be 12th place on back. There looks like there's about 12, 13 cars in that pack. They're all kind of single file for the most part back there. 14 and a half seconds back of your current race leader, Brody Hanna, who's coming up to 9 laps to go. Still leading the charge here. Farrier Motorsports still in this thing 1, 2, 3.
Yeah, and like you said, I mean, a lot of cars spaced out now, so the likelihood of a wreck happening, not saying it's impossible, it's just less likely to happen now. You don't have so many cars bunched up on top of each other. Now they're in much smaller, compact, tight groupings right now, 6, 5, and like you said, the biggest grouping starting from about 12th place, led by Ryan Chapman right now. On the way back, that one there's got about 15 cars in it right now. So if anything was to happen, there's probably an increased chance of it happening back there. Not because of the drivers or lack of skill or anything else, just because there's so many drivers in such a small, tight space compared to the other 2 little micro packs, if you call it. But Jeremy, they're running out of room at this point in time. 9 laps to go, 8 as the leaders cross this time by. You know, it's going to be tough. And I agree with you with the caution rule, Jeremy. It does. It keeps the league unbiased. It makes it easier for everybody. They know what it is, so they know unless iRacing calls it, you stay in it. You know, that's just the way that it is. Jessica Stubblefield also agrees with it. She says that a lot of them tend to be a little iffy in that category, and I'm with you, Jeremy. I feel that's why FTSR does it that way, is to just cut those biases completely out, nullify them completely.
Yeah, 100%. And you mentioned micro packs here. Well, this second pack, I would call them like a micro mighty pack, as they're only 5 cars in, but they are consistently gaining 2 tenths here, 3 tenths there. It's not going to be enough time, but it goes to show you, even if you have one less car, as long as you keep it really solid nose to tail, you can get the job done. Come by the line this time, they gain another tenth on that pack. Obviously, like I just said, not enough time, but 5 versus 6. But the 5 is outdoing the 6 right now. As you see, the Ryan Hoover machine, number 8, he's actually going to join this lead pack, and as well as the 44. 2 other guys going to be trying to tack on to the end of this pack. That's Chris Beck. Different colors for him this year. And, the 2 lap cars are trying to touch here, trying to cause a car. I don't know why. They're still trying to make contact. I don't know what's going on here. Sure, nobody in this top 6 wants to see that. I don't know if they're just trying to side draft each other for no reason. They're both 1 lap down. They're going to cause a little curveball here in this race test if they keep this up.
Yeah, that's no joke. That made me go oh there for a second. I mean, you got to remember, these cars right now, they're on 30 lap old tires. This is when the handling issues started coming up. They got to be careful with that. But to go back on what you were saying, Jeremy, these 2 are still duking it out. The 8 of Hoover and the 44 of Beck. I mean, they're still side by side as they're trying to duke it out for that spot there. That's about the craziest racing we have going on right now, Jeremy. But no, to go back on what you were saying, is that's what we were talking about earlier, you know, before all the contact and, you know, the 67 of Wallace got in the wall, is if that big pack just would have gotten in a line, they could have chased down those front 6 and put anybody in that pack in a position to possibly, you know, take home a victory. It didn't work out. It's not always a numbers game. As you see, that pack of 5 now is starting to come back into play a little bit more, even with this pack here now going from 6 to 8. Well, we'll call it 7, as the 44 Beck is still side by side with the 8 of Hoover. Jeremy, this is some crazy racing for 2 lap cars here at the tail end of this little pack.
Looking at the stats, if we got 5 laps to go now, Brody Hanna still leading the Daytona 250. The 44 and the 8 are the first 2 cars only 1 lap down. So if there were to be a caution presented, this is your lucky dog spot. This is to get back into the green or the lead lap. So no wonder these guys are hashing it out, trying to figure out who's going to be leading it as soon as the caution does fly. If it does, I don't know if it will, just because of how spaced out things are right now. But,
yeah, but you don't want to be the caution, though. That's the thing.
Which is crazy, yeah. Even if let's say the 8 takes out the 44, just by complete example, if the 8 goes straight and does not wreck, he still has a 0x on his name. And so when iRacing throws the caution, you're not handed the lucky dog. You're just not, because you were technically a part of the incident. So it would go back to the 24, Stephen Llewellyn, who's the only car other than these 2 that are currently 1 lap down. So don't wreck yourself. I know you're trying to be that top person, and these guys are not letting each other go, still touching each other as they go through turn number 1. Almost doing it again. They're guys giving us a last-minute show here in this top group here, but I'm sure Josh Mayhew is looking through his mirror like, what are you guys doing? Don't do this to us. We got such a good setup going right now.
Oh, my.
Side draft after side draft, the 44.
Oh, contact there. Jeez.
Side draft is huge, and the 40. Oh, it's still. Dustin, what are we doing? Oh, here we go.
There it is.
Here we go.
There it is.
Oh, no.
We knew it was going to happen.
No caution yet.
No caution yet. They're off the racing surface. No caution's going to come out. They're going to keep going. Oh, man.
The 7 of Wayne Allen also gets loose off of 4. That was a side story, but nothing to notate, because these guys thankfully there was a 7-second gap between the two packs, and it allowed them to not bring out an iRacing caution. And look at that. Now Stephen Lou Allen's going to take sole possession of that lucky dog spot. They wrecked each other, Dustin, just like you said. You don't do that. And now that 24 is saying, well, thank you, guys. That's pretty cool of you. I like that. But we're going to turn our attention here to the front pack. We are coming out of turn 3 and 4 to take the white flag one more time around this 2.5-mile super speedway at Daytona. Still single file. We expected maybe some double file action going, but no. These Fury Motorsports guys just all in right here. 1, 2, 3, not leaving each other's buttons here. Coming through 1 and 2. The 5th and 6th place car have backed up. I don't know if they're trying to do a last-second launch. Most likely, here's the case, the 39. Let's see what he's got. Troy Torgerson with Josh May in the back bumper. As Josh actually leaves the bumper, here's the run blocked by the 53 as he's going to try to do something. And Richie Coy, of course, blocks the track. The 39 is going to try to just advance into 4th place. And the 53, here we go. We might have a wreck here. But top 3, let's see if Fury Motorsports separates. Or they're going to keep themselves 1, 2, 3. Final time off of turn number 4. The Martin Sports winning moment's going to go to that number 23 Nerd TV Ford Mustang, Mr. Brody Hannum. Get yourself that season open checker flag. 23, 11, 19. Basically, the team 1, 2, 3. This doesn't happen often, but when they can make it happen, I'm sure this is going to be a pretty excited interview from these 3 guys. All the hard work's paid off. Congratulations to Fury Motorsports. Excellent job there.
What a way. And I tell you what, it played out very, very well. Richie knew exactly where he had to. He tried to go up on the top side there. The run wasn't there, didn't present itself. Only the 53 of Anderson was up there, so then he come back down. And then, of course, when the 39 and the 02, so the 39 of Torgerson and the 02 of Mayu got side by side with the 53, that side draft slowed him down enough and allowed the three car tandem of Fury Motorsports to close back up again. So, I mean, it was well played. Excellent team effort on that one there. Couldn't have been done. Victory lane for tonight. Overall, I'd have to say pretty quiet race for everything that was going on. I think the most action came in about the last, 15 laps or so. You seen the 8 of Hoover and the 44 of Beck going at it. And I tell you what, it was a Daytona race. We'll put it at that.
Yeah, appreciate the 8 and the 44 for giving us some last-minute free entertainment presented by them two alone as they kind of did things. You see the 23 burned it down. Dustin, let's get that overall race official standings on your screen. Well, unofficial, really, until all penalties might be cleared out if there is any. But Brody Hannah obviously taking home the checker flag, still burning down the burnout. Just next to the start-finish line there, up against the outside wall. Tony Solari, 2nd place. Richie Coy's going to finish 3rd. Troy Torgerson, season opener here for him, is going to finish 4th. Also, season opener Robert Anderson going to take home the top 5 spot. Josh Mayu, 6th. Sherwood Williford in 7th. Lane Allen, 8th place. Chris Curtis going to come home in 9th. Round out tonight's top 10, Nicholas Moreau. 11th, you're going to find the 7 of Wayne Grassi. 12th place, Ryan Chapman. 13th place, Chad Lang. 14th, Matthew Vachon. 15th, Casey McMullen. 16th, James Torrey. 17th, Alan Crowell. 18th place, Brian Hoskins. 19th place, you'll find the, what did they call him? The Stub Hub team there. Timothy Stubblefield, 19th place. Ryan Hedrick going to round out top 20.
Stubbs 21st. Nation, baby. Stubbs Nation.
Stubbs Nation, thank you. I was trying to recall that. Could not for whatever reason. Steve Loomis, 21st. Stephen Lou Allen, 22nd. Brian Dublé, 23rd. Jonathan Vachon, 24th. Ryan Hoover, 25th. Chris Beck, those two tangoed and ended up 25th, 26th. 27th, Fred Moreau. 28th, Joshua Johnson. 29th, James Wallace. 30th place, Matt Knight. 31st, Colby Mice. 32nd, Brian Bliss. And Brandon Elder, who technically did not start, will take your final spot there. 33rd overall. And Dustin, we got one more commercial break to carry over before we talk to our top 3 of all Fury Motorsports drivers. We'll be back after a few short messages. to full screen coverage here of the post race now presented by Martin Sports of the FTSR season opener at Daytona International Speedway. We just saw a crazy last couple laps there, especially with a couple drivers potentially bringing out that caution. Did not happen. And now we're going to be sitting here talking your top three tonight, which is going to be the entire team of Fury Motorsports. So first driver in, Fury Motorsports, the 19 of Richie Coy. Do you have a copy, my guy?
What's up, nerds?
Hey, welcome back into the booth. Very comfortable seat for you in 2022. And, well, you're back here again to start this thing. First off, talk about that teamwork. That was impressive stuff there all race long.
Teamwork makes the dream work, don't it? We,
One,
we got separated in the beginning of the race because we all started in different areas, and then even after the stage, we couldn't get together. And then right at the time to go to our green flag pit, we were all like right next to each other, and that was by design.
so I know you guys usually like to pit, first or second out of all the groups, especially at super speedways. And what do you think the difference was there? You didn't have many cars come down. You had four with you, 3+1. I think the 53 had joined you. But then after everyone pitted, even after the big group, you guys were just spaced out, I think, 4 seconds. So do you think the fact that you guys were so bundled up close to each other enabled you guys to, have that huge separation there toward the end?
Yeah, I think because actually the four of us ended up pitting together. We all came out. I really pushed it on the apron, and they laid up a little bit for me. But when we came out into the racetrack, we were nose to tail already, and so we got up to speed, and we were running nose to tail right off the bat. And there's a lot of guys, they're not running with their teammates. They don't necessarily come up. They don't wait. Then you got to catch, and I think that all plays a part of it. And then we ended up picking up, I think, 3 extra cars for a 6-car breakaway, and they did a fantastic job. All 6 of us, single file, pulling away from the main pack, and no caution. It was exactly what we were looking for.
Yeah, for sure. It was 18 versus 6, but since they were side by side, they were actually, slowing themselves down like almost a half a second a lap. It was quite impressive to see. You guys did a really good job keeping it nose to tail. The entire run, you did not let go. No one tried to pass. You just kind of did it your guys' way and made it happen. So congratulations on your top 3 finish there in your DeWalt Ford Mustang. Floor is yours, man. Who would you like to thank out there tonight?
Well, I'd like to thank, obviously Fury Motorsports, Tony and Brody. They were nice enough to let me finish third tonight, so that was fantastic of them. But yeah, obviously my teamwork. We work really hard. We work really hard on these super speedways to work together, and and it's kind of an all for one effort. As long as one of us wins, I think we're all happy with that. And so thanks to Tony's mom and dad for watching and rooting for us, and thanks to the league, and thanks to Nerditude for putting on another awesome show. I can't wait to watch it back.
Yes, sir. Appreciate all those words. And all right, gonna go ahead and celebrate with the team. I'm gonna talk to the other 2 teammates up before you can
No, I
officially
can't
get that
celebrate.
celebration.
I can't celebrate because you're taking them up here.
Well, you know what? If they didn't want to finish up there with you, then maybe you could start a little sooner.
Why don't you leave me here and bring both of them up here? We'll interview them all together.
Yeah, I'm good for a curveball. Let's go ahead and do that.
All right, well,
we're gonna
let's
change this.
Let's take it straight to victory lane then. Let's all party in victory lane. How about that?
Yeah, we're gonna take the top 3 here as we bring in Tony Solari and Brody Hanna. Welcome to the Nerd TV booth for a little get together session. Congratulations on the top 2.
I guess I'll bring you champagne.
Yeah, we were wondering if you were just going to bring us all up here or not, and why not?
He was like, "Go down and celebrate with your team," and I'm like, "Oh, I can't celebrate with my team because you're going to bring them up here." So I said, "Bring everybody up here. Let's celebrate, baby."
Yeah,
Daytona.
So if you're watching the broadcast now, even Tony Solari gets the confetti because, well, that's a team effort here. You see both the top 2 on this camera right now, but starting with you, Tony, I know you're kind of the mastermind typically behind these super speedway setups. How much input did you have in this setup, and what was your game plan with the team tonight?
Well, it's not really a lot of the setup. Brody actually kind of dug something out of last year. We had strong cars last year, and Brody and I had a 1-2. We actually finished 1-2 last year also, and so yeah, we kind of recycled the same setup, and just getting together, the 3 of us. When we find the thing, we do our little pit stuff, and that might be a little strategy on my end, and yeah, it seems to work out for us.
That's very true, and
I wanted to change it up. You know, it's funny too because on Wednesday you guys didn't notice anything I did different to the truck. You're gonna have to look at the tailgate on Wednesday and see. I did make some differences, and I'm actually running an O'Tour laser company on my Thursday night car for Xfinity. So it's a completely new paint job. You know, I still love Menards, so you know I got to give them prop. I just figure maybe a blue car might change my luck from the green. I don't know.
I hope everybody's sitting down because Tony made all these changes.
You know,
Yeah, right.
If I can recall, is there a wood paneling on the back of that truck?
I got the bed's full of wood, and like I say, when you see it on Wednesday, you'll have to highlight it. You'll see. It's kind of fun.
Around lumber.
Hauling around a big load of lumber, and yeah, you'll see. It's a little comical.
I mean, while he's hauling lumber, I'm hauling ass. So.
Yeah, well, the green will come back at some point, and you know I might change it up a little bit, but yeah, I like green too. Yeah, I mean I'm a green guy, but I figured blue's a good color on this car too.
So as Solari's bringing around his big wood here to Daytona, Mr. Brody Hanna.
Yeah.
That setup thing that you found late last season, did you tweak anything on that? Because I know they updated the cars just a touch, new nose clip with a different design. Anything you had to do over the off season to kind of retweak it to find what you found late last season?
Honestly, I don't know if they tweaked it. I didn't change a thing on it. It was just the exact same thing we ran last year. It was fun. It's a little darty on older tires, a little skatey, and it can be a little unpredictable on and off the corner. But other than that, I mean, the thing, it was fast. I was stuck in traffic the first part of the race, and then we started getting checked up. We lost the main draft, and me and Tony pretty much decided at that point in the next restart we were going to go towards the front, at least stay in the front pack.
And that you definitely did. Well, I mean, congratulations to Fury Motorsports. I think this is only the second time, if I recall, that you guys have finished 1, 2, 3. So huge props to you guys for just dominating the last half of the race. Floor is yours, though. Brody, Tony, whoever wants to pitch in, who would you like to thank out there tonight?
Well, I'm going to thank Mom and Dad, and thank you guys. Thank the three guys that were behind us that stick with us: Robert, Troy, and Josh. And I got to thank Brody and Richie that are sitting right here with me. You know, we're a team first, and we got it done.
Yeah, I got to thank the weather for sticking with us. I got to thank for the three guys behind us, the O2 of Josh Mayhew, the 53 of Robert
Anderson.
Sorry,
See,
I'm scrolling through. Right.
We're all kinds of teammates.
Yeah, Robert Anderson and Troy Torgerson. Those guys, sticking with us and able to pull out that 10-second gap early on. It was enough to hang on there. Those guys did not have to stay in line with us. But it probably benefited them in securing our top 6 finish too. So I appreciate those guys working with us. Got to say hi to Tony's mom and dad. They always watch. We hear them from them all the time. So I hope they enjoyed the show. They were the first ones to congratulate us. That's awesome. Got to thank you guys. Of course, I have a special paint scheme on the car. It could have had something to do with the luck we had tonight. So, so a green card is really not bad luck, right? Yeah. So
bad luck for the rest of us.
Well, I mean, Tony's had a green card for a while, so Anyway, I do.
Yeah, I do.
A little logo.
Yeah, and thank all the guys in the race. Honestly, that was a great race tonight. We had no cautions other than the stage caution. Everybody held it together. These cars are not the easiest thing to drive, and the runs you get can lead to disaster really early. I know some people had issues. For the most part, though, everybody did a good job. So props to everybody that was out there on track.
Yep, and so once again, congratulations to Fury Motorsports 1, 2, 3 with a fourth honorable teammate of Robert Anderson sticking with you guys the half of the race. Yeah, congratulations once again, and we'll catch you guys on Wednesday.
All right, thanks, guys.
Yep, thanks, guys.
Thanks, guys.
Yes, sir. All right, and that is your top 3 all Fury Motorsports. Last second curveball to bring the whole team in. Everybody got confetti, man. That was all well deserved. It was a team victory, no doubt. Yeah. So Dustin, recap that thing for us. How did you think that race went overall to start the season? Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I know it's gonna be more competitive. They got a whole year of under their belt with this new next gen car. So I would expect these teams to be a little more racier. And we got a few new guys, so maybe they have some things to bring to the table that we have not seen. We saw Murray Motorsports kind of take over last year in 2022 as a new coming team to FTSR, and maybe these other guys have the same thing. Who knows? We'll have to find out next Monday. But we're going to close this thing out, Dustin. Excellent view here from the Mach-1 Performance Victory Lane. But we're going to start thanking everybody that allowed us to do this tonight, especially the league themselves. Full Throttle Sim Racing started in 2006. These guys have almost done it for 20 years. They're on year 17 as a group, and the original admins are still running this thing today. So if you enjoyed what you saw tonight, please go to FTSR.net. They have this new sim racing points thing going on where it's charter systems. You buy in, you get paid to be a driver on the team, or if you want to pay in to own a team and buy in some cars, it's up to you. It's kind of a cool system. FTSR. It is pretty legit. No one does this. It's a brand new thing. Really, I haven't seen any league do this. So please, if you want to be part of it, FTSR.net. Mach-1 Performance, race fabrication shop that's produced champions and winners of all sorts of racing divisions. Find them on Facebook at facebook.com/Mach-1 Performance. Sim Racing Points, we just talked about them. It's an all-inclusive league points management system that allows the ability to completely track your league stats and points with one simple upload of your race export. So if you want to have a all-in-one system at a really good price point, head over to simracingpoints.com, see what they're worth to you. Martin Sports, long-term sponsor now of Nerditudes. Can't thank them enough. We have their gloves in-house. I have 2 pair. I know you have 2 or 3, several of them. They're just been an awesome supporter through us. So if you're looking for a top quality apparel to make you look stylish and comfortable, and they have the best sim racing gloves on the market, anything that you want, they got you covered. So see their whole apparel lineup at martinsports.gg. Got iRacing iFlag. Get notifications fractions of a second faster without ever leaving your focus away from your monitor. So go over to iRacingIFlag.com for the full product line. You super nerd, which Martin Sports, if you super nerd, you get what, 25% off iRacing iFlag. That same code, super nerds, you're going to get 10% off anything you purchase from Jeff over at iRacing iFlag. 15. Trying to undercredit. There we go. 15%, little extra kick to you guys. The butt kicker, that ultimate race feeling with a haptic response system from your gaming chair or whatever chair you're sitting in to race in. It's an easy install, and it brings all the bumps and feels of the track directly to your seat. So if you want to experience something like that, you're going to head over to thebuttkicker.com and see a full product lineup of all their haptic engine products for your sim racing rig. And then Team Watson Racing Setups, quality professional built setups for all your asphalt oval needs. Visit teamwatsonracing.com for pricing and packaging. And lastly, Roasted Gems Coffee, the official energy partner for the Nerditudes. Premium roast coffee beans roasted just for you. Start your day the right way with Roasted Gems Coffee. And you're going to go to roastedgems.com. You super nerd. Once again, this time, it's going to bring you 10% off. It's still a great price for a big, super flavorful bag of coffee. No matter, they have 3.5 pages worth of coffee flavors. So whatever your heart and desires needs, they got your back. All right, guys, that's going to close it out here for the Nerd TV group. Me and Dustin. Oh, okay. He's caught me off guard. Excellent little breaking news there. So if anybody who has some friends out there who might be interested, please have them watch Mondays and Wednesdays. Let us know. You know, chat with us. We love the feedback. We love shouting you out as well. At least from my end, it's so much fun to do. You don't see that too often elsewhere, so it's kind of a cool little thing that we do for you guys. But either way, keep watching, subscribe, get everyone in here. Love to shout you out. But we're gonna catch you guys Wednesday, same time frame, just YouTube page. So if you go to the youtube.com, I think it's @/ @nerditudes if they got the link system right. I think we have the next month and a half scheduled out. So, you have your links ready to go. We can't spam all year long, unfortunately, but month and a half, at least you got your back covered. You know what's coming up on the schedule. So go ahead and subscribe to our YouTube page. Until then, on Wednesday, we'll see you guys then. Stay safe. Get your nerd on.